Hi viewers, welcome to yet another episode of CPPR election series, Decoding the Polls. Today we will be discussing about the possibilities, probabilities and the future prospects of Bihar Assembly elections. I am Gautam K, Project Associate, Center for Public Policy Research, and today we have with us our chairman, Dr. D. Dhanraj. Sir, last week when we were discussing the Bihar elections, there was a clear margin between the JDU-led National Democratic Alliance and the RJD-led Mahagathbandhan. But as we are edging closer towards the first phase of elections, we can see the gap is getting narrower and narrower day by day. So, what are your primary thoughts on this?
See, when we discussed last week, I think that was a scene which was before the release of the manifestos. One big game changer in the last 2 weeks is the release of the manifestos by both the parties. And there, I believe Tejasvi Yadav has an early bird advantage in terms of promising 1 million jobs. Right. The reason is Bihar electorate is one of the youngest electorate in the country today.
Yes,
around 56 to 60% of the people who are going to vote in the next three phases, they constitute they constitute around 50 to 60%. So they've come to the age between 18 to 40, 18 to 42. So obviously there are two things that I could see from this. One, the old generation is giving way to the new generation in Bihar. Tejasvi Yadav, he is around 30s now. Chirag Paswan is 37. Likewise, I see even including BJP's chief ministerial candidate Nityanand Rai, he is in early 50s.
Okay.
So there is a generation gap happening. And obviously, like elsewhere, Bihar voters is also, I think they're very aspirational. And this pandemic brought a lot of thinking to them in terms of what can we do post-COVID, what is going to happen. There are stories about Nitish Kumar mismanaged it, but there is also a counter story to that Nitish Kumar was the first chief minister in India who actually gave PDS, and he tried to give PDS to all the returned migrants. But there is again another counter to that, saying that even though he tried doing that, many of the migrants were not the beneficiaries of that scheme. So we don't know the ground reality, as there are so many reports coming from different parts of Bihar. But I see 15 years incumbency is a very easy target for the opposition now. And because it's a young electorate, because BJP and Nitish, mostly Nitish, is actually talking about old Lalu. And this generation doesn't even, I think most of them are born after Lalu's time, right? So they don't even recollect. They were in schools that time. So the moment you talk about Jungle Raj, that also is a kind of defensive thing from a party. You are not talking about what you've done in the last 10-15 years when you were ruling. Instead of going back to 2000 and say think about those 15 years, 1990 to 2005, there was a Jungle Raj. And I felt that is very defensive strategy. The other one is there's a ground issue between LJP and JDU, because LJP is contesting around 143 seats, where JDU is also contesting. So there is a possibility that JDU votes may go to BJP, because for them it's a do or die situation, because they know that this is the last chance. If they don't win, probably JDU itself will get split. That is one possibility. And for Nitish Kumar, this is going to be his last election, so he knows that do or die. But that doesn't mean that all the BJP votes will transfer to JDU or not. There, BJP cadre as is not happy with JDU cadre at the ground level. That's what I am told and read about the Bihar elections. So he is attracting, Tejasvi Yadav is attracting. He was, by the way, he was not a bad minister.
While he was
with Nitish. he was not, contrary to the understanding most of us have, I think he was a decent minister, he was a decent deputy chief minister with Nitish Kumar. So people might expect, and he also had a lot of, turnaround. I would say the last 1 year, many say that Tejasvi Yadav tried to do a makeover. He became a very different leader. He is not even, unlike his elder brother, he is contesting the election from where Lalu had contested and won. Every time he recalls Lalu. But this man is not recalling his father's legacy or his mother's legacy as such. It's like, I am a different man, I am for a different purpose now. So he is attracting huge gathering. And the shift is happening. I think that's the significance of Bihar elections now. And irrespective of who wins or who loses, I think the interesting factor would be, in the recent times, I don't think we have seen an election where the youth is going to make a huge impact on the outcome.
Okay, then, there is a rough number of around 50 to 70 lakhs of migrant laborers who returned to Bihar just after the lockdown or at the time of the lockdown. So, will that make a major difference in the election results?
We don't know. In Delhi and all, still people are there from Bihar. They have not even returned to Bihar because they fear that once they return, there is a limited possibility for them to come back to Bihar, or they may lose the work. So a lot of people are in Delhi. And those who have returned, I think, like you said, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs, somebody was saying even 30 lakhs, I don't know the exact number. So there are claims and counterclaims. But one thing is very clear, BJP is not, highlighting what Nitish has done during this time. BJP is actually doing what Modi as Prime Minister has done it. That is also strategy from, adding to what I said earlier, because it's a young electorate. Modi still, I think, counts a lot for them. Modi still, people think, youngsters looks at Modi, irrespective of, his political background. He is somebody who could deliver for the aspirational voters. So they are not focusing on, they are not projecting Nitish. Okay, so they are actually taking an excuse. Right? BJP is actually trying to excuse, okay, he is there for the last 15 years, fine, we are happy with him, but we are trying to sell what we have done at the national level and what we have done for Bihar. And in fact, just before the election was announced, Modi had announced many schemes, he has even inaugurated many schemes. So there was a poll pitch in that. So migration issue, I think it will be even. If that is the issue, I think people may vote for BJP because.
But I have a specific reason for that question. It's because if you would have seen the election rallies of Nitish Kumar and if you would have differentiated it between the election rallies of RJD, there's a visible difference between both these rallies.
Right.
Like in the people's participation, the enthusiasm of the participants.
Agree. So that's what I said. So if he is able to, Tejasvi Yadav is able to convert the numbers, right? For example, when Gandhi family campaigns in many places, there was a huge gathering. But finally that number is not converted. But here the issue, since you asked about migration, I think it is not about the migration and why people are gathering there. I think people might feel they need a change. You see people for the last 15 years, you've seen this man for the last 15 years, what can he do? He is like, early 70s and almost like, I'm sure once he loses the election, if he doesn't get any, share in the power, I think Nitish Kumar will be history. I'm sure he's on the verge of history. He can make both. If he becomes another one more term, then that's another history. If it doesn't, that will be another. He will become a history, part of history. So I think it's not the migration. I think the young population, because they are able to resonate with the young leader. Right, that is also there. That is also the reason why BJP is trying to project Modi, because Modi is able to, connect with them leaders. So I think that is the reason.
So you already mentioned about the LJP factor, the Chirag Paswan factor. They are contesting in around 143 seats. Most of the seats opposite JDU. And if you look at the previous election, they could only gather around 6%
Right.
of the votes. That's particular from their particular community, that is Paswan community. So can they be a black sheep, or what do you say?
I think BJP has taken a big risk in this election. I personally feel, as an observer, they should not have done it because they are trying to replay what they did in Maharashtra. Right? See, this is what happened in now. There was no election, but I think this is going to happen in Punjab also because they are eating the vote share of Adani's. So that's the reason I think more than the farmers and the rest, they are bothered about their own existence. Same thing happened in Maharashtra. Same thing happened in many other states
Yes.
now, wherever they have the coalition. So I think they are taking a huge risk by supporting LJP from the behind and pushing some of the senior leaders to contest on the platform, LJP platform. If that didn't, if suppose, worst come worst scenario, if that doesn't work out, that will be a huge loss for BJP. I mean, that will rebound on them. I don't know whether the national leadership is ready to do that because we are again still testing JP Nadda's political strategies. And I see even now people don't count BJP's national president as one of the strategies. I mean, still go by Prime Minister and Home Minister, right? So LJP's case, what could happen? Like I said earlier, transfer might happen from JDU to BJP, but not from BJP to JDU. And then if there's a vote consolidation between LJP and BJP, then probably they could win handful of seats. Probably, I don't expect them to win some 40-50 seats. They might win some probably 20 seats or 15-20 seats. But that bargain will be relevant only if the equations comes good for BJP. The BJP wins some 90 seats and then LJP gets, BJP wins some 80 seats and then LJP wins another 15-20 seats. Then there could be a bargain. I'm sure some of the smaller parties, they can easily hijack them, buy them, and they can form a ministry in keeping Nitish Kumar out of power. But that number, if it doesn't work out, then it will be a huge loss for BJP. I mean, that will be I think that will be a big block. I mean, more than what they win 80 seats, I think it will be morally, politically, it will be a huge loss for BJP.
So that was, I was about to ask about that. Like, we know that JDU is contesting 122 seats and BJP is contesting 121 seats in the NDA alliance. And as they say, JDU leads the NDA alliance in Bihar. At least on the paper, JDU is the leader, right? And if, as you say, Nitish Kumar and his party couldn't gather that number of seats as expected, like if they go to a number of some 60, 50 or something, what will be the possibilities?
The possibility number one, again, repeat of Maharashtra experience. Probably governor of Bihar still can play a major role in calling who is going to be the chief minister and who will be invited to form the government. That's one thing probably people sitting in Delhi could control it and manage it. But otherwise, what one possibility is that Nitish Kumar walks over to UPA. That possible. People say that it's ruled out possible. I still believe it's a possibility. There's a good possibility for that, and they form a government. That is where I said, it will be a big failure of BJP's national leadership to understand, anticipate. But I think since they have the experience running this machinery for last 1 decade, at least 8-9 years now, I'm sure they have seen this. I mean, probably we are all sitting here and debating it. They would have thought about all the possibilities and what are the equations. And one more thing I realized, some of the statements from, for example, all of a sudden they talked about the issue related to the citizens bill. JP Nadda all of a sudden. Somebody talked about Pakistan again.
Yes.
My experience in the last 8 years, seeing BJP election campaign, they start using all these things only when they are not so confident about election victory. When they try to communalize things, right? So I don't know whether all of a sudden they are slipping into that mode, like we are not so confident that we were in the past. They started doing it. Then Nitish Kumar, being Nitish Kumar, he still have that secular credentials. That is what he claims. And he also used to get so many votes from the Muslim community.
Yeah.
So communalization by one of the parties, I mean one of the partners, is going to, whether it's going to help Nish at the end of the day, again we have to, I think, is not going to help him.
But if you look at the previous few elections like Jharkhand or Haryana, maybe Maharashtra, this Pakistan, China, that rhetoric didn't work, right, as such.
No, I'll tell you. I'll give you a couple of examples. When it was in the last Bihar election. I mean the 2015 election. I think Amit Shah and Modi talked about Kabristan and everything, right? So that also happened after 3 phases. I think they got a feel like we are not going to win. Luckily for this time we don't have these many phases. We have only 3 phases, right? I think last time there were 4 phases. There is an issue that, I mean, China rhetoric is not going to help in this election, I'm sure, because it's almost like sold out thing, right? Pakistan, since China is there, I don't know anybody's bothered about Pakistan now. See, those issues, that the context is different right now. Today we are talking about Corona, COVID, economy, migration, and I don't think they have built up that narrative assets so that they can use it in a big way. I mean, meaning if they were having this fight going with China, they should have been able to build a narrative. Okay. Now all of a sudden you say like, I'm going to fight with China. I don't think people will buy it easily as the way they probably were influenced last time.
So then what will be the possibilities of some third fronts? One in with the leadership of Abbasuddin Owaisi, then another with Chandrasekhar Azad on the screen. Any possibilities for them?
No possibility. They might win some 3-4 seats. And I also feel like at times, BJP will be happy to see them winning. Some of them, not Owaisi, of course, he is not going to align with NDA at any cost. But with other parties, say the party leadership may not align. But who knows that the person who is winning the election, he may jump immediately, because he get a cabinet work, okay, I'll just go and join that. And that is also one thing I think they are trying to play out in Bihar, because they know that there could be some deficit of 10 seats finally. 122 is the margin, I mean the number to form the government. Suppose they finish by some 115, they need 7 more MLAs. So they would be happy to have some BSP MLA getting elected. So they would be happy to have some, I'm not talking about CPI and CPM, they don't do that. But smaller parties here, Ranjan Yadav is there. I don't know, I mean he has got Papu Yadav, yes. So he has got so many cases against him, he has got so many things, and he's also one of the strong leaders in that region. So who knows? I mean, I'm sure a national party like BJP will be so happy to have this many small party MLAs there.
But we have the likes of Chandrasekhar Azad, he was one of the main figure during the anti-CA and
No, that's what I'm saying. See, he doesn't going to change. So you can easily see, once you have a smaller party, the anti-incumbency law doesn't apply there. Right. If you have 50 MLAs, then it's a possible difficulty to split, like what happened in Karnataka. If you have 2 MLAs, it's easy to poach 1 MLA and like bye-bye to other person. That's a possibility.
So let's say if the Gathbandhan fails to perform, so then what will be the national future of Indian National Congress? At least as a facilitator.
Like Congress, I see like in Jharkhand, because Jharkhand they were able to win few seats, right? I mean, consider a good number of seats. I think that was because of Jharkhand Mukti Morcha, they are Soren. And if there is a wave as such, who knows? Congress also gets a few seats. But whether that will translate into national politics, I am not sure. Because I see now Congress is playing a second fiddle role, right? So one immediate consequence would be the next assembly elections, right? So now yesterday I know Politburo has taken a decision that in West Bengal CPM and Congress are going to together. Because they have an understanding. Then same time elections will happen in Kerala. There is a problem because when Congress, whenever there is a revival for Congress party, then these understandings are not easy. This is what happened in West Bengal election in 2016. Right, that time also there was an attempt, and in fact a Politburo vetoed the decision of the state committee of West Bengal because there was a revival somewhere. I think there was, they were saying, okay, we are getting back to our thing. Congress is in a dilemma actually. The resurgence and revival of Congress is good at the state level, but not be so great for them at the national level, because then it is difficult for them to take some of the decisions they want to, pursue in the next subsequent elections. That is one. If suppose, so that is very much possible, because if suppose Mahagathbandhan has got a wave, I'm sure Congress also will get a good proportion of the seats. It's not like 5 seats or 10. They will also get a good number of seats. But if they lose, then I think we talked a lot about Congress in the past. I think this discussion will continue. There is like what they
as
are
still they are the only visible national opposition.
I see, I think even after 2 years, they're not able to find to decide on who is going to be the president. I mean, even their senior leaders are questioning the party's, party making. There's an inner party democracy that is lost for. I mean, it was lost earlier, but now it's again and again forthcoming in terms of who's there to listen to your grievances. So I see once Congress loses Bihar, I think nobody is going to bother about it. I think nobody, probably few opinion pieces will come, some editorials will come. What is going to happen to this party? What is going to happen to Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, XYZ people? Nobody is going to bother. But if there is a revival, meaning winning a few seats, that possibly could take different debates. For example, Congress playing a second role. Jharkhand also they played a second role, right? So there could be a debate that, okay, let's accept that Congress should play a second role, and they should, instead of leading from the front, let's support the network and all. And I think there will be a big question on UP elections also.
Okay.
Because UP elections is scheduled in 2022. So I think it's too early to say how BJP's prospects are there, but at least on the border districts of UP and Bihar, because of all these riots and not only riots, the atrocities against the Dalits, it will be interesting to see who wins there is also questioned. Suppose BJP loses, that's one thing. I'm talking about different scenarios. If BJP loses and Congress wins in those border areas, some of the seats are also shared with them, then it will be interesting thing. Probably people can say like there's a revival. But I don't think having won a few seats, that doesn't mean that Congress is revived. I don't think they've got a party machinery. They don't have any local leadership, regional leadership. They may win only if there's a way for the coalition.
So the Gathbandhan's performance, and we have a left alliance there, ML, M and CPI there. So what will be the national prospects for Kanhaiya Kumar? Maybe as a
Kanhaiya Kumar is not fielder,
but he is the major campaigner for this.
Yeah, I mean CPI, CPM. I believe CPI have more chances than CPM in Bihar. I mean that's a CPI has got more. They have got few areas where they are very strong. I think in case of Gathbandhan fall short of 15 seats and this third front, they will definitely, this is an automatic thing, they will go and support Tejasvi Yadav. I mean there is no, but ideally they should have contested in the same, not forming a third front. I think.
No, they are with Gathbandhan.
No, they're with the Gathbandhan, but I feel like their strategies are not talking. I mean, I'm saying the third front is the obviously led third front. I'm talking about that strategy I see is slightly different. I don't think there's a coherent strategy from the ground. I mean, from the ground reports I'm reading, these guys are doing a totally different thing, and then CPM, CPI, they'll be happy to have even if they win 5 seats, I think they should be very happy, because national level they are facing some existential
crisis.
So they could actually argue that, and that would be a big thing like a state like Kerala, because if they win, even though we are 2,000 kilometers away from Bihar campaign, but I think that would be a big major boost for parties here in Kerala.
So, as a last question, we know for sure we will be having a coalition government there. And any guesses, maybe wild guesses about the climax that we are going to have?
The climax is, I still think about that Maharashtra thing. You know, this is what happened to BJP in many places now. In Madhya Pradesh it happened, Karnataka it happened, Rajasthan it happened. Then why not? It could be repeated in Bihar also, because they have become very adventurous. See, like one of the videos that Shekhar Gupta talked, from the Advani Vajpayee era of coalition, they become a single dominating party in the country, and they have, there is a trade-off, but the trade-off become very adventurous trade-off now. It could even, destabilize the growth of party that they have witnessed in the last few years, right? They were like, going around the country and winning every election. But now they are eating into the coalition, and I think in a country like India, it's not easy. UP is a different thing. I mean, it is but the diversity of the country that we have is not good to rule out the coalitions as such, right? And especially a state like Bihar, I think they should not have ruled out the coalition. I think they should have built on that coalition, what they have with the JDU. And they should have promoted the coalition instead of you were probably people say like they're trying to start from the beginning. That should not happen, because that is not the coalition dharma, right?
That's it for today. So Bihar will be the first state in the country to go for state elections during this time, this pandemic time, and as we are edging closer to the first phase of election, which will be happening on 28th of October, the situation is getting grimmer and grimmer. The gap between the JDU-led NDA alliance and the RJD-led Mahagathbandhan is getting closer and closer each day. We have to wait till October 10th to know what Bihar has in store. We'll have more discussions on Bihar elections in the upcoming days. Follow the hashtag Decoding the Polls to get more election updates. If you like the video, please share, like, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.